All right, fellas. Scott Donnell's here today. I've been hearing his name. We have a bunch of mutual friends. He and I've been talking about all the different ways that our worlds have overlapped, and they are going to continue to overlap in some pretty exciting ways. I know that for not only did we just line up an event that we're going to be doing together for some of our VIPs and front row dads, but tomorrow, as I record this show, tomorrow he is going to be doing a live session virtually with our community. And if you've heard me talk about Chad Willardson, Smart Not Spoiled, he came in, he was just in our Wealth and Legacy Summit. He is partners with Scott. It's just, again, I could name after name after name. It's like, do you know Scott Donnell? You should meet Scott Donnell. I think he's been introduced to me multiple times through multiple channels. All that to say, when it comes to family legacy, financial literacy, and being just a great human, great father, Scott is one of those people that it doesn't take long. It takes me minutes to get to the point where I'm like leaning in, full body yes to what he's doing, who he is, how he shows up. It's just a lot of head nodding. I listened to his interview with Brandon Turner, who's a front row dad, had him on his show. That's a great interview, by the way. I highly recommend that. And the whole time I'm listening, I'm just driving down the road going, what? No way. That's part of his history. No, he did that. No way. And that's kind of how the bio unfolds around Scott if you lean in and you learn about his life. So to say that I was a fan very quickly would be an understatement. You'll all feel the same way, I know, once you get to know him. And I think you just have to trust me for now until we get into the conversation. Now, on to the official read, by the way, which I think is an important part. That's the intro from the heart, but here's the one that you'll read on the website if you go. So Scott Donnell, and I love this, for the record, everybody knows it about me. This is how it starts. He's a blessed husband and father of 4 value creation kids. Leads with the family in his bio. It's something I talk about all the time. It's usually like the after comment of like, he's this amazing guy. And he's, by the way, happens to be married and has some kids. As a side thought. I love that he leads with that in the bio. Founder of GravyStack.com, the world's first bank account for kids ages 8 to 18 that uses games and real-world challenges to teach financial competency to the next generation. The mission of GravyStack is to create 50 million financially competent kids ready to succeed in the real world, which I love. Oh, Scott, I didn't tell you this, but like when I think about what my kids really need to thrive in the world, I think about my buddy Jim Shields all the way back to 2016 when we talk about at our very first ever Front Row Dads retreat nearly 8 years ago. It was, finance. You got to understand finance and how money works and how it moves in the world. You got to have great relationships, and you got to have an understanding of mind, body, spirit, health. Those 3 things, but finance being a big one and not the one that I feel most capable. So I love that you're giving me tools and our community tools to succeed with. Anyway, in 2022, this is pretty cool. GravyStack won the most fundable company award in Malibu out of 4,000 applicants. Scott is also the founder of Apex Leadership Company, a school fundraising company focused on teaching leadership and fitness to kids across America. Since 2011, Apex has grown into a national franchise with hundreds of franchises nationwide and has served more than 7 million students in 42 states, raised over 100 million for schools. Just goes on and on and on. And what's also cool, I didn't know this, but Acton Academy, big here in Austin because Jeff and Laura started it. Yep. And I remember getting exposed to the business fair concept, and then I didn't realize you were behind that. So that's super cool, man. All these dots being connected, life makes sense, and you're here on the show. So thank you for being here, man, and welcome.
Family man with a business.
That's
not
it.
a businessman with a family. Love you, man, already. This is fast friends in the making. So I'm excited to add as much value as I can in the least amount of time for a bunch of these dads here. Let's go.
Well, let's start. I thought about all these different places that we could launch off, but I'm just going to go right into something you said in the interview with Brandon Turner that really hit me. And I think I want to start with this, and then I want to back up a little bit into your childhood, and then I want to talk about all the things that you're currently doing. And we'll get to, of course, the resources for the guys, because I know there's you have this theory and you have these beliefs, and yet you also have these very practical tools. So I'm saying that as a note to anybody listening. Make sure you stick around to get the applicable tools. But first, a little context and a little history. You said heritage over inheritance. And as soon as you said that, I'm like, this is my dude. So what does that mean to you? Unpack heritage, unpack why this is so essential. And it's really the core of, I think, what a lot of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's more about what you leave in your kids than to them.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It's a last name that means something, but more than that, it's 90% of generational wealth is gone by the grandkids. Okay. This whole idea of good men create or strong men create good times create weak men create bad times, and bad times create strong men. We know how to jump that cycle. If I could put this to dads in a bumper sticker, I know how to jump that cycle for your kids and grandkids and great grandkids.
Mm.
Because what everyone thinks in the back of their mind is, uh-oh, being a dad is a crapshoot. Hope my kids carry on the family values and the beliefs and the mindsets. I hope they're stronger and more capable than me. Hope they have more impact, better financial competency. Actually, there's a recipe to this, and we have it, right?
Mm.
This is what I've been doing for the last decade with all of our companies. I've been going around the whole world trying to find the best 100 families I can find. Okay. This is why Tony had me at Date with Destiny talking about this, because I pulled his playbook. Try to find the best in the world and codify how they
That's
did it.
right. That's right.
And so for the last, I got 300 pages of notes, man. And I was just doing it for my family, right? I come from an incredible line, but I got a lot to learn and I want to crush this thing called parenthood, right? And so this whole idea of just passing on money is what the entire financial industry, the entire insurance industry has been trained to do. Most of us try to think, oh, my job is really to secure the bag and let it grow, let it thrive, have peace, have financial freedom, and then die. Well, the more you leave to them, the worse they're off. And it seems so backwards, but it's true because what I study is what's underneath that 90% of assets gone by grandkids. What's underneath that number is estrangement, mental health, addiction, divorce, destruction. They lose the value creation drive. It's literally like you're creating lottery ticket kids and imposter syndrome and it's the trust fund. It's literally that. And what people don't realize is, oh, well, my kids will be adults by the time they get it. You don't realize that if they're not trained up the right way, even adults lose the value creation drive.
Yeah.
Even adults stop risking, stop trying, stop growing. They're waiting for their parents to die. And so for me, it's like, whoa, what we learned from these 100 families was take your inheritance and invest it in heritage.
Yeah.
Do that. Build them up the way they should go, and they will thrive for generations beyond you. Right? That's the point of heritage, not inheritance. So it's a last name that means something, and it's about stories more than values. I'll give this last piece, and then we can dive in a little bit more. But in 30 years, your kids are not going to be sitting around a campfire and sharing the mission statement on your wall. They're going to tell stories.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's your job as a parent to craft the stories. If you want to kill a family, get rid of the chief storyteller. Stories are everything for our kids. We need to tell the lineage. We need to tell the stories of our ancestors. I tell the story of how my dad's great grandma came across the Oregon Trail, Camilla Donnell. We have her journal, dude. It's
Wow.
unbelievable. I
Yeah.
have it somewhere and I'll find it. I'll bring it to you in April. But it's unbelievable. We tell these stories of the kids, but when we tell stories of when we met, our first business, how we, came to faith, how I go all the way back to King Agrippa of Scotland and crazy things throughout all of our past, they're always value-based. They're principle-based so that the stories have the meaning that lasts throughout the generations. That's how you give kids roots and wings to fly.
Yeah.
You got to know where they came from, and then they'll carry it.
Dude, I love that. And by the way, I love capturing the stories too. Right before my grandmother passed, I would go to her and sit in her room and with a camera and record stories. And I remember after she had passed, my mom watching one of those telling me how she had learned new things about her mom because I did the interview and captured these things. And we now have that. And James Tunn, I don't know if you know him, but I was sitting next to him at an event recently. He was telling me about he would put on his video camera in the car when he would just drive his mom around and he would ask her questions and he would just have the camera going and just car rides with mom, he called it, and he'd just capture all this. I love capturing the stories and I love being able to retell them and thinking about that. It was actually something that drew me closer to you when you were telling a story about your family. Can you go back a little bit? I, again, I know it's like there's a lot to the story, but I think who you were as a kid, you were very busy. You had a lot of majors. Your
Yep.
your path was actually altered because of a comment that was made to you about being an entrepreneur, and also a
Yeah.
little bit, if you could tell a little bit about your family of entrepreneurs, just to create a little fertile soil, and then we'll launch into like what you're currently up to.
Yeah. So, I mean, I come from four generations of killers, mega wealth entrepreneurs that gave the whole thing to widows and orphans. And they helped me with half of college, and that was it. And I couldn't be more thankful.
Yeah.
And I know all this stuff kind of seems crazy, but man, I'm telling you, if I was in charge of the family bank, I would be a pittance of the man I am now.
Mm.
And so in our family, it's been this, and we train this in our family legacy training. You have to have the power mover baton passed, right? This is how you jump it. The gap we talked about earlier. You have to have each generation feel like the baton to be the power mover in the family is now in our hands, in my hands. If you can successfully do that, they take the baton and sprint like a relay race. Why is the fastest guy always the fourth one, right? You literally want to pass that baton. And it really gets me when families, they make it, they're successful, and then they just spend the rest of their life worrying about the future, worrying about the next generations, worrying how they screwed them up or how they entitled them and spoiled them and caused victimhood and anxiety. That really gets me because there's a recipe here. Like it's not a crapshoot. It's not a lottery ticket. It's you can actually do this the right way. And I've seen it happen in my own family. So, I was shredding papers at 6 years old. My first business was at 8 years old. Bead gecko keychains. I think I have one. Yeah, look at that. Bead
Dude,
gecko
look at
keychains.
that.
I
That's
kept it
awesome.
because it's a great part of my past. I tell my
Uh,
kids about it. I hired the whole third grade to make bead gecko keychains for a quarter and selling them door to door for a couple bucks. And I was 8 years old, and then all of a sudden, no one was going to lunch or recess, and for like a month, and the principal heard about it, and I got suspended.
which is crazy.
Yeah, and then instead of
You should have won an award.
I thought, yeah, well, my supply line got cut, but
Is this
instead,
a story where your trauma becomes everybody else's,
yeah,
breakthrough? Like, here we go.
right. Well, instead of a whooping, I thought I was going to get, my dad took me out to a steak dinner. He was
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
do that for the rest of your life. Well, fast forward, in college, had a bunch of majors, didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do. I was a youth leader, tennis lessons, communications, brain surgery, because my uncle's head of pediatric surgery at Mayo, all these different things. And then my senior year, I got written in as student body president. I didn't even run. They just wrote my name in, thousands and thousands of people. And I was like, I guess I'm going to do this now. And I was a theology major at the time, thinking I was going to go off and do like pastoral ministry because that's how you love Jesus. But what he said was, I'm booting you from the theology department. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, everybody here knows you're an entrepreneur, not a pastor. Everybody, except for you. And your ministry is creating value for people in the world using business. And then he said the most freeing comment of my life. He said, in 25 years, you're probably going to come back and run this university. And I, for one, would be honored to work for you.
Wow.
That was a 21-year-old me who my life got completely transformed in that moment. I went from going to Duke Seminary to Acton.
Yeah.
I was
Acton
on the
Business School, right?
plane,
Here in
yeah,
Austin. Yeah.
with the great Jeff Sandifer, one of my closest mentors to this day. A week later, I'm on a plane ride heading down to Acton to check it out and fell in love. And that was it. I'm an
Wow.
entrepreneur for life. So here we
Dude,
are.
I want to give real weight to what you just said because it's something that speaks to our front row dad values, which is, look, we want these men who become part of our community, who find alignment here with being a great father. We want them to, of course, be a great father to their children. But what I think happens as we expand and as we become more from the inside and we can hold more for other people, we become like the man in your life who saw something in you and had the courage to speak to that. And that was where I feel I want to be personally, and I want to be around people that have that level of certainty and knowing and confidence to be able to see you fully, offer an opinion, which doesn't mean it's truth. It's he offered an insight, and yet you happen to align with that, and that shaped your life because we can be amazing father figures to to other people. We can be
Yeah.
fatherly to other people, to other children, to other men, to other boys and girls, and that is what I think a front row dad really is. I
Yeah.
just want to honor that person, and I want to honor you for hearing that, and then
Yeah.
and also being coachable, being able to be led, even though you were leading yourself, but you allowed for those words to hit you and you moved.
That was only act one in his career with me, by the way.
Is that right?
This same professor kept me from getting married to the wrong woman.
Whoa, dude, I don't
This
know
is
that
something I've
story.
never talked about publicly.
All right, can you talk
So
about it now? Because this
yeah,
is good.
whatever. I'll just whatever. There's a bunch of dads. You guys are all going to get it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was engaged at Acton to a girl named Jessie. In fact, one of my rules in life is never trust a Jessie. So I'm just kidding. He basically was like,
All right, I was like, well, I'm gonna hang tight wherever you're going with this.
I'm just kidding. But so I go back and it's not going well. Like it was one of those relationships where you're like, oh, God just wants us to get stronger and better and more humble because it's like conflict.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
there's enough conflict in life. You don't want to have that with your spouse, right?
Mm,
So I go back and I see him on a break. And one comment, he goes, Scott, it's not supposed to be this hard.
mm.
It was like the one freeing comment. And I was like, whoa, he's right. And we ended up breaking off the engagement. Thank God. Year and a half later, I meet Amy, and we're married now for 12 years, 4 kids, brilliant life, totally blessed here in Phoenix. My life would have been completely different had he not said that one thing. And I'll tell you, one of our strategies, so we have 18 strategies for legacy, family legacy, from what we've learned from all these like incredible families all over the world for 10 years. One of them is this: your kids need other trusted and mentors and advisors to reinforce the things you care about most. And so, who are the people in your kids' lives? Your best friends, maybe it's a relative, maybe it's a coach, somebody who you know 100% backs my value systems, my beliefs, the things that I care for at my core, that my kid trusts and respects, that can speak into their lives the same stuff we've been saying and reinforce the stuff that I care about most.
Yeah.
Every one of us can think back in our lives to those teenage years, those childhood years, the college years, the 20s. There were those men or women in our lives that had that say. They just had that pedestal. We're like, when this guy tells me to read a book, I'm reading the book. When this person tells me to watch that video and learn from, I'm going to do it. They tell me to go here, I'm going to jump. How high, man? You got to find out who those people are and make sure that they are in your kids' lives, because there comes a time when, especially in those teenage years, where they're going to let go of your hand. But what you want is for them to grab the hand again right? After the autonomy years. I'm trying to figure out my own way, my own freedom, responsibility, my own value system. And we're just praying the whole time, Lord, give them good people in their lives to reinforce this stuff.
That's right. Yeah. You and I were mentioning his name earlier, Hal, and talk about somebody in your life that pours into your kids. Right as you said that, I pictured Tiger, my 14-year-old, coming home from spending the night at Hal's house, and Hal gave him a champion's creed. He printed a affirmation that Hal talks about was part of his like, how he got to write the Miracle Morning and all this stuff like that. And he literally customized it to Tiger. He framed it, he gave it to him, and he brought it home. And that sat right on Tiger's nightstand. And this is also cool. I bet you know him. We haven't talked about it, but a letter from John Rulin is hanging on Tiger's wall right now because
Wow.
for his 13th birthday, I went to 13 of my best friends and said, "Would you write a letter to my son? Just pouring your heart into his about what you see in him, what's important in life." And 13 guys who I love and respect, John being one of them, wrote a letter, and Tiger had that hanging on his wall. You know,
I
um,
love it.
which was awesome. And another from grandpa, from my dad, hanging on his wall, which was really cool.
I
Yeah.
love
So
all those
yes,
guys.
surround your kids with the amazing people.
It's good.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, actually one more thing about the past that you've said that I want to hear your take on this. And I want everybody else to hear your take on this because literally this morning I'm talking with I don't know if you know Mike Dillard here in Austin, but I was talking to his wife about family events and actually one of the ones that Justin Donald goes to. And we were talking about like trauma for kids because I was explaining that Tiger's going to this new school, and I'm like, I don't want him to go through what I went through in junior high, but at the same time, what I went through in junior high is what made me who I am today.
Yep.
And I think that you said it perfectly. It's like healthy struggle and it's kind of like trial, like being like the trials in life, but not necessarily having to like wish trauma on somebody. How do
Yep.
you see the difference between somebody going through healthy adversity versus, and what is a healthy adversity? Let's just go there.
Yeah. A healthy adversity is where I'm with you in it.
Mm,
It's as simple as that. We call it, Value Creation Kit, our best-selling book. It's a roadmap for proactive parents. Like it's the antidote to entitlement, spoiling, victimhood, anxiousness, all of it. And the main thing we say there is healthy struggles are required for kids to get the capabilities, inner confidence to create value in the world. It's a cycle. You have to go through those healthy struggles. And these are emotional skills, practical skills, relational skills, business skills, life skills, tech skills, all the skills that they have to go through themselves to overcome and learn gives them capabilities, which when they succeed and overcome, it gives them confidence that you can't give them. Inner confidence is only earned. You,
that's
you can't pat them on the back enough times and say, you're pretty, you're smart, you're nice, you're kind. It's not inner, that's surface.
mm,
The inner confidence comes when they go through healthy struggles and come out the other side better and stronger. So it's us being with them in it. See, tough love and trauma, addiction, abuse, neglect, those are unhealthy struggles. That is not with us we're not with them in those moments,
mm,
but we can be with people in those moments. And that's a healthy struggle.
yeah.
So one of the things that actually this brings up in me that I've just started talking about publicly. Usually it's reserved for our dinner table because we have now dinnertable.com, which is our family legacy strategy stuff. It's hard to not bring it up because it's like everything I do now. GravyStack is a part of dinnertable.com. Um, it's this idea of money trauma. I've come to a realization lately that there's a lot of trauma that happens in someone's life. You can't protect them from everything. Like stuff happens. Friends say things. I got the award in high school for being the fat kid on the baseball team. Like stuff just happens, right? But this idea of money trauma, I've never heard anyone talk about it. Counselors, therapists, nobody talks about it. But you know what? it affects almost every decision we ever make for the rest of our lives.
Mm.
How we were raised around money, whether you came from a silver spoon family where money was identity, money was keeping up with the Joneses, it was status, it was therapy, or you came from no money, rags to riches story. Money's bad, money's gone tomorrow, scarcity mindset, just trying to keep up with the bills, source of conflict in the home, fights everywhere. Mom and dad is sex and money. They never talk about sex. That's in the bedroom. They see money everywhere,
Yeah.
right? We can't afford this. You know how much this costs? Money doesn't grow on trees. Do you know how hard I worked to get you guys this and you just blew it? You took it for granted? But then I realized, okay, no one talks about money trauma because they don't realize it's happened. But it's the only trauma that you continue to work for the rest of your life. Every other trauma, you're trying to escape, forgive, heal, let go. The money one, you wake up every day and you got to make the bills, you got to run the business, you got to handle your stuff.
Yep.
And you're almost working for the same traumas that you grew up on. And then we overcorrect every generation, back and forth, back and
Right.
forth.
That's it.
So
That's it.
that's something that we have to heal from, man, because what you don't heal from, you pass down.
Dude, overcorrecting. That is something that is not talked about enough. Overcorrecting. That is such a critical element to, I think, fatherhood journey, exploring how you want to try to be different than your parents were or what you want to try to correct. But just even having the awareness of like, is this an overcorrection?
Yep.
Because we want to go big with things too. We're like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. It's like,
Right.
that's, yeah, I get
I
it.
just want my kids to have all the opportunities I never
Yeah,
had.
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to have them not have to deal with any of the things I had to deal with coming up. I want
Yeah,
to give them all the stuff I never had. Like,
yeah,
this is what parents do.
yeah,
And then what you don't realize is you're putting a bubble around, you're putting bubble tape all over them.
yeah, that's
Bubble.
right. Yep.
And it slowly entitles and spoils them. Nobody entitles their kids meaningfully on purpose. It's a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a death by keeping them from 1,000 cuts, if
Mm.
you want the truth. So I think it
Mm.
really, the basic answer here is healthy struggles are the ones that we're able to do with them,
Yeah,
be with them in it.
that's it. You mentioned dinner table. Let's get to that, man. I'm excited to hear more about this. Give us like the baseline. What is dinner table? Who is it for?
Yeah, so dinner tables are training for families. It's financial literacy, family legacy. It's our 18 strategies to really crush it from generation to generation. Um, GravyStack is a tool, right? It's a killer tool. In fact, Lior and a ton of your members, the front row dads are loving this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just a tool at the end of the day. And what a lot of our families have said is we need more of the mindsets, the skills, the financial training, the value systems. And so I have had all of this content that I've just been using for my family for a decade by trying to search the world for the best 100 families. You know, the Green family and the Coors family, the Basinius family, all these the Johnson family, all these incredible families. And money is not my metric, just so we're clear. Because legacy is not Trumps and Rothschilds. We have to be very clear on this because when people hear the word legacy, they either think, well, I don't want to be the Vanderbilts, right? Or on the other side, they say, oh, I can't have a good legacy because I've had divorce. I've had business problems. My kids are struggling in this area. I hate my cousin or my sister. Like they disqualify themselves. The
Mm.
truth of the matter is, legacy is all of the actions, events, and relationships that have a long lasting impact on someone's life. So, guess what? Everybody has a legacy, whether they
Yeah,
like it
that's
or
it.
not. You
People,
can't
hold up.
escape
People
it.
should pause and rewind and listen to that again. That's cool.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
question is, what kind of legacy do you want? You're going to
Yeah.
have one, whether you like it or not. It's as sure as death. So, for us, we have the recipe and we want to give it out to families. So, it's GravyStack is the tool, it's a part of dinner table. And then we have our home economy system courses, the seven family money skills, waging war on entitlement course. We have our foundations workshop that families go through. And then we have intensives and we go through all 18 strategies. And then now we're licensing it. So businesses can give it to their employees advisors or insurance or whatever can give it to their clients for free, and they just license it from us and they get trained and certified or someone on their team so that we can really help spread this mission to 50 million families worldwide. So that's dinner table.
It's so cool. It when I'm looking at dinnertable.com right now. So what matters most to your family? Set a firm foundation, create a value system in the home, help your kids to create value in the world, create a last name that means something, strong relationships and breakthroughs, create a deeper connection with your spouse and your kids that last a lifetime. On that note, by the way, how on board does a spouse need to be for somebody to get value from dinner table? Like, is it like, hey, if my wife's not on board, this is going to be a waste because I'm going to get an assignment. Go talk with your wife about this, and you're like, we always struggle there.
Yeah.
Or can it be one parent
It can be
going and digging
one.
in?
It
Yeah.
can be one, and it's a magnet. It's not the game of telephone. The way we do our stuff is so operational and practical
Mm,
and valuable that it's a magnet for the rest of the family,
yeah.
not just the spouse or the kids. I'm talking relatives and friends. Like we build these things as magnets. So once you do them, everyone kind of goes, "Whoa, where'd that come from?"
Yep.
You want to hear a fun story? This last weekend, we're at a birthday party. Okay. And in GravyStack, we train the families to do the three E's. Set expectations of the stuff you don't pay for. That's why we don't like allowance and chores.
Yep.
Allowance is socialism, guy. It does not work. Okay. So we do the three E's is what we train on: expectations, expenses, extra pay, which are gigs. Expectations are the things you don't pay for. These are the things your kids do. If you want to keep my last name, you're doing this stuff. Make bed, clean room, homework first,
Yeah.
dish trash. You don't pay for that. It's your role in the family. Expenses are where most parents go wrong. They pay for everything. But we don't realize is kids don't want to talk about money until they have a motive. The motive is you're in charge of paying for this stuff from now on. So we have 12 categories of expenses to give to kids starting at age 6 to 18. By the time they get their license, these kids are autonomous, they're rocking it. And so now they have a motive to earn, which is the third E, extra pay.
Yeah.
So GravyStack has all these gigs that they can do, action gigs around the house to make some extra money. They have all these brain gigs that they can do to learn all these critical skills and practical skills, all these missions and challenges they can do to earn. Grandma and grandpa can throw in money for it. They're canceling subscriptions. They're planning the next family trip on a budget. They're hunting for coupons for the next grocery run. They're saving thousands of dollars for their parents and making thousands in the neighborhood. So you set up all that stuff. Well, we've been doing it, right? Like I eat the soup I cook. So we're doing it with our 7-year-old. Okay. So one of the expenses she's in charge of is birthday presents for friends.
Hmm.
So she goes last week to Target. She grabs the present for Dawson's party this weekend. She's 7 years old. She puts it in a little gift bag with the tissue, brings it to the party, and every other kid, all 20 kids, their parents did it. So they just chuck the present on the table. They don't even know what the present is, most of them.
Yep.
And they're off doing the ninja party, you know? Well, halfway through the party, Reagan runs up to my buddy Caleb and I with Dawson, the birthday boy. And she's like, I want Dawson to open my present right now. And Dawson's like, yeah, I want to open her present right now. They sit down right in the middle of the gym and he opens her present while she's staring at him.
Yeah.
She's like, I got this for you. I want to see your face. He opens it. He's super elated and excited. She's beaming from ear to ear. And all the other parents are like, what did you just do?
Yeah.
I was like, I just taught my daughter to be generous for life because she earned the money in GravyStack. She used her debit card in the spend jar to get that present. And now there's weight to the gift. So now she knows generosity. The other kids don't even know what the present was. And they didn't even open any other presents at the party. Everybody went home. They opened them later. So these are the kinds of things that really just make a huge, and you wouldn't even have noticed if you weren't watching. But these are the little things that make a massive dent in a kid's life. You just got to be able to know them.
Yeah. I love that. You and I very much align on that. Our kids have never gotten an allowance. I definitely am a big fan of them earning what it is they want to get. I think as a dad, I always loved when they were like, "Can I have that?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Sweet." And I'm like, and they're like, "So I just get it?" And I'm like, No, I mean, you can have it if you want to make the money and like
Right.
it's yours, dude. Go get it.
Yep.
But yes, I will not buy it for you. I'm a
Yep.
big fan of that. In fact, I've heard this messaging over the years, man, of, you've got to earning it is so important. That's just the biggest piece is earning it. And I want my kids to have that. What you've done though is you've created a recipe with absolute clarity that I think is brilliant. And that's missing for me. So I'm very excited about this tool. When it comes to dinner table, give me for in other words, who is this perfect for? Like somebody's going, okay, dinner table sounds cool, resources, things like that, but is it for me? I'm a busy guy. How much time commitment is this going to take for me? Because we have this experience of like going, logging in, and then it's like, yeah, by the way, glad you're here, but if you want to succeed at this, you just need the next, 7 days of your life and
Yeah.
blood sample, stool sample, DNA. But
Yeah. No,
who is this for, man? Who did you design this for?
we designed it for parents, moms and dads, even grandma.
Anybody, doesn't matter. Like any income level, any.
Nope. I mean, it works better the more money you have and the more you don't want to screw up your kids. I
Yeah,
mean, that's for sure. But it's also an incredible way to get people out of all poverty mindsets.
right.
But it's a legacy piece, right? Like the courses are simple. They're 3 to 5 minutes. I think what people don't realize is they don't know this stuff themselves,
That's right.
and they don't know how to pass it on to their kids. I mean, we have 4 stages of every money skill: earn, save, spend, share, invest, protect, borrow. There's stages of this stuff that we need to get our kids to go through and ourselves because we never were taught it ourselves. But you can't expect a kid to go buy real estate right away. You have to go through stages. You need to learn trade first. Start in the garage, flipping an asset. Then you go to garage sales and you learn these stuff. You learn asset appreciation. There's stepping stones to all these skills, and they're just so simple, so practical. It's just no one was ever taught. It took us 7 million families to figure this out.
Wow.
Okay. So I like this because it doesn't matter who starts, the rest of the family it's like a magnet, right? And so I think the best thing to do would be start with our foundations virtual workshop. We just get together. It's a month long every Friday for an hour and a half. And a bunch of families come in, couples come in, or just mom or just dad, and they learn together and they go through the tools and then they implement them in their home every week. So it's like, come, learn, meet great people, do. Simple as that. And then you get the money skills course, you get GravyStack included. That's probably the best one to start with. Unless you straight up want to license it right away and give it to all your employees and clients. I actually believe that financial health should be a benefit in a business, right? Like everybody who's an advisor in the insurance world, they don't train their employees on or their clients on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like we have dental health, we have physical health covered, we have medical health covered, we have mental health, all this stuff's covered. Why isn't financial health covered? So we just now are licensing it to people to give to everyone in their community for free. And
So cool.
you want to get it out to everybody because it's such a critical win when you get this stuff.
Speak to the too early, too late objection that somebody might have. They go, I got a 2-year-old. Maybe when they're 7 or 8, I'll then do it. Or, hey, I've already got a 15-year-old. Kind of the course has been set by this point. I'm a little too late to the game. Is there a perfect window? When
Yeah.
should a parent be in this?
So the GravyStack app starts at age 6, actually. So 6 through college is where the app starts. Dinner table, no kids, young kids, teenagers, college, grandkids, adult kids, like it doesn't matter. These things are timeless.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest lies I hear is I'm not qualified for this. It's too late. The ship has sailed,
Yep.
right? Actually, the number one question I get is where were you 20 years ago? That's the
Yes,
number one
that's right.
question I get.
Same with me, dude. Same with
Yeah.
me.
But every single one of our strategies doesn't matter. You start them at any time, whether it's repairing relationships, setting the right boundaries, going on the right like experiences together, having the right dinner views, we call them. Like setting the stage can happen regardless of age of kids or grandkids. It doesn't matter. Like we don't want this to be like you have to do this before your kids turn 9 or you're screwed. That's like a huge lie. That's a lie. In fact, here's what I think.
Yeah.
All of the setbacks in your life are setups.
Mm.
Every single thing that's ever happened to you up until this point right now is a setup for incredible value that you can give to others from now on. So all these 100 families that we've been studying and searching the globe for, guess what, man? They all have crazy. They've all had insane things happen, whether they screwed up or just the world hit them, right? But they still have unbelievable legacies. They still have generations, four in a row. Every generation blows by the previous one in values and mindsets and financial skills and impact, all of it. And it's the recipe. Of course, there's bumps and there's crazy that happens. But if you just apply the strategies and the mindsets like we're talking about today over the long haul, consistency compounds.
Of these many families that you've interviewed and you're looking for all the common threads, was there anything amongst all of these families that was the most unexpected for you? You're like, oh, I saw that one coming, but like this one I didn't see as like a common
Oh, yeah,
answer.
a lot. Um, the 18 strategies that we teach are all versions of that,
Mm,
where you're like, whoa, no clue that none of these families did allowance.
yeah.
None of these families like paid for certain things over the age of 18. Like all of these families set up trusts in this certain type of way, the do's and don'ts of generations past, like further. Like it's just pretty crazy, like the setup and the thinking. Oh wow, all of them travel the same way, and almost nobody else does.
Mm,
So yeah, I mean, it's all of it is just mind blowing when you talk about it. I'll give you one thing. Um, they really focused hard on habits and choices rather than gifts and talents. So
mm,
what I've learned from these families, I heard this over and over and over. That you can act your way into feelings way
yeah.
easier than you can feel your way into acting. But they took it to another level. They're like, okay, we have standards, we have boundaries, and we're going to run this playbook while having deep relationship and love. You can do that together. But what I realized in talking to these families is they praised their children's choices, not their gifts.
Yeah.
If you praise just the gifts that a kid has, it becomes identity. And the moment that they crumble or fail or something gets shaken, their whole world crumbles because that's all you've been praising this whole time. If you praise choices, then it's like this long in the right direction with a rudder. Hey, you didn't win the game, but you know what I'm proud of? I'm proud how you chose to serve and support your teammates. I'm proud how you hustled. I'm proud of your attitude. The choice you made to do this is that's integrity. So they focused really, really hard on the choices and not necessarily the gifts. If you focus on choices, it enhances the gifts long term.
Mm,
That was a big one for me because a lot of parents they think I just gotta cheer the heck out of them. It's like you're so smart, you're so good at soccer, you're such a great painter. Wow, you're so good at speaking. You're a great
yep.
reader. I guess that's the surface level stuff.
Yep.
But you praise the choice, and that's what lasts long term. Okay.
Dude, I love that, man. And you know what I love also? This is going to be perfect because I had a buddy years ago, Isaac Tolpin, who said, it's amazing that we'll put as business owners all this time and energy into like the team meeting, that we'll have like the daily huddle with the team. But yet we'll get to dinner and just like eat our way through dinner with no structure, so thinking about the family dinner table and bringing great intention to that. Tonight, I shall bring the question of like, hey, what choices did you make today that you're really excited about? And then I'll use this throughout the week this week, this how am I praising their choices as
Yeah.
my one thing that's going to guide my attention and intention this week. So thank you, man. I love that. That's a big one for me. I
You want to
love
hear
it.
the best? You want to hear the best question any parent can ever ask their kid?
Yeah, tell me.
Sharon Lechter told me this. She's the godmother of financial literacy. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Game, 14 international bestsellers. She has advised every president since Reagan, dude.
Wow.
And when I wrote Value Creation Kid, She came to me and she was like, Scott, you have no idea. You nailed it. But when I was a kid, she goes, I just realized this. The number one question that unlocked my entire life was my dad. She said, every night before I went to sleep, my dad would say goodnight, we'd get ready for bed, prayers, whatever it would be. And he'd ask me one question. He would say, who did you add value to today?
Mm,
When you understand value, this word, this is why we said value creation kid. Money, I teach financial literacy. I'm the leading expert in financial literacy. And the first thing I tell people is it's not about money.
mm,
If you focus just on money, it becomes identity. It's keeping up with the Joneses.
yeah.
It's the wrong force. Money's not good or bad. It's a tool. But you know what it is? It's a store of value. Value is the one step back. Value is the first principle to all this. So if you teach kids to create value, material value, which is what they create and produce in the world, emotional value, how they think and feel and help other people think and feel better, spiritual value, how you live and love and help other people connect to something above themselves, higher mission, higher calling, to God. Those are the types of value. You give them a lens to look at the world, to create value in every single situation. There is not a situation on earth where you can't create one of those types of value. And so that question unlocks this mindset in our kids where in any situation they can create value. They have autonomy, they have agency in that moment, and they can create value all around them. And if you start just asking the question, right? Our kids care about what we count. Okay. So you start just asking that one simple question. At first, they're like, what does this mean? What are you talking about? Like, what is value? Then you start giving an example. Then you start hearing it, and then they start seeing it, and then they run with it. That's the baton that I'm talking about. So Sharon said that one question changed her entire life and made her who she is today. The moment she said that to me, I've started asking my kids that question every single night. And man, the stories are insane. I don't have time to go into it, but I could write a book
I
on that.
love that.
I actually just did write a book on the one question, but you get the point. Like, who did you add value for today?
That's beautiful. Done. I'm gonna do it this week, man. You changed the Roman household conversation. So thank you for that, man.
All right.
Speaking of adding value and wisdom, you've given us lots to think about today, Scott. Thanks for the stories, man. I love that this kind of starts with a story, and we've got the stories have been told all the way through here, and you're a great storyteller. So thank you so much for that. Um, I love how it I love how when you speak, Scott, feels like you are pulling from within and you're not reading from a script. That feels really great to me. And that this work is really, it's in your DNA at this point. It's really, truly integrated work, which is awesome. So it's not like you sat down yesterday and thought about something, which is a great thing to happen for people, but it still is unrefined and needs quite a bit of polishing. And yet here you are having 7 million families impacted through this work, and the story is just going to get better and better. I want to wrap this with a couple of things. This will take 60 seconds. I know we've got a hard stop here. So think
Let's go.
one word, one sentence type answers, or as quick as you want. 4 topics. And this is best wisdom from your heart. Again, as short as you want. Here we go. So, best wisdom you could give our men on marriage. Go.
Listen,
Best advice you could give our men on parenting.
the two best words in the English language for parents are firm and kind.
Hmm. Best wisdom you could give on health.
He who has his health has 1,000 dreams. He who does not have his health has only one.
Beautiful.
And
And
you
last,
want to be there. Set the goal to be at your great grandkids' marriage
yeah,
from now on.
best wisdom that you have for our guys on building an epic business.
Take the first three answers and put them all together.
Nice.
They're going to have to rewind to hear, but it's actually true. Take all
That's
three of
cool.
those answers.
That's cool. Scott, thank you, brother. I'm excited to see you tomorrow to go deep with our guys and have everybody present for you and the workshop we're gonna have. Excited to hang with you in April. That's also gonna be awesome. And then if I can continue to be of service to you and your mission, I'm here and I'm a big fan of what you're up to. Guys, please go check out Scott's work. We'll put all the links at frontrowdads.com and maybe just go to dinnertable.com right now and check that out. And then, of course, download the GravyStack app and yeah,
Yeah,
share the wisdom with your family and share the wisdom with your brothers.
before I forget, we'll give everybody our 18 strategies just as a gift. If they just go to dinnertable.com, book a call, our team walks you through. It's like a 20-minute, here are the 18, take them, run with them. How do we help you the most? So that's our gift to everybody.
Scott, thanks for being here, brother. Really appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Love you guys.